Hello, Adam Cochran here, managing partner of Cinnamon Ventures. Any of you who know me in the space probably know me for my ridiculously long, overly wordy Twitter threads that hopefully instill some occasional value. I've been in crypto since late 2013, early 2014 when I worked at a Bitcoin exchange here in Canada. I also did some of the initial community management for Dogecoin on Reddit, which was really cool back then, but should now probably work against me given what Dogecoin has become over the years. Before all that, my career was in the marketing and corporate development strategy side, really focused on highly technical and mostly financial products. My goal in this career was to kind of work with these big financial entities like banks and traditional exchanges, understand their new complicated products, and figure out how you bring them to the market, make them accessible to the mainstream in a way that they can really understand. So this is something that set me up really well for the crypto space, as it made me kind of above average at figuring out what's a good potential product for the long term and a viable business. Um, Thinking about adding value in the Aladdin DAO, I think in the DeFi space there are really four different types of investors, and there's a range of players within each of those that overlap, but they're all likely necessary for the success of this DAO. And you've got the degens who make their money on these high risk, high turnover cultural trends. You've got classic VC firms and these experienced VCs with their massive bankrolls make money by casting a wide net. You've got the finance guys who've run highly optimized trade desks. And then you've got these operators. And the operators are the investors who've worked on different parts of the business. They roll up their sleeves and get involved. And because they can get involved deeply and understand the business, they know what the risks are and what to look for and what's going to be successful. I think most operators in this space are really experienced solidity and financial engineers because that's one of the largest hurdles in this space. I don't fall into that category. I'm a minority on the operator side where I'm technical enough to dabble in solidity, but my specialty is looking at the potential to turn a protocol into a product and then into a business. And I think it's that lens that has given me my edge in the space. I also think it's something that's probably underrepresented in most communities here and that could end up being underrepresented as a lens in this DAO, where we have a lot of great technical and traditional finance talent, but not necessarily the talent outside of that in the other forms of operation. So I think that could bring an important balance to the Boole Council. Um, Thinking about my largest success in DeFi, even though I've made a lot of good money by just setting up chain alerts to try and catch new farms when they get deployed in the first couple of days, I think one of my largest successes overall that I'm most proud of is, helping to save Sushi Swap. So many of you may remember that Sushi Swap was initially rugged and abandoned by its creator, who eventually returned the fund. But it left Sushi Swap in a bad way. And myself, a number of community members, a number of VCs and developers all jumped in to volunteer and help save Sushi Swap. I actually ended up taking 2 weeks off of everything else I was doing at the time and helped to organize the community, build the first help docs, and sat in the Discord for like 15 hours a day just answering support questions from angry users. Um, by the time I became a multi-sig holder in sushi for that first year, I'd sold off all of my sushi and turned down some grants to make sure I could be a neutral multi-sig holder. But as an early farmer of sushi, being able to save it and being able to have a community take over a product that wasn't initially their own was a big benefit to me as well as everybody else who was farming sushi very early. And now that I'm no longer a multi-sig holder, that decision still kind of pays dividends as I farm a lot of the projects in the sushi onsen. And that's something that wouldn't have existed had all of these volunteers not come together to kind of save this project. And I think that's a real power of the space, this ability to harness decentralized and passionate communities. As far as my biggest wrecked moment, I've been lucky, other than sushi, to have avoided any rug pull farms, usually just by looking at the code and avoiding anything that's an egregious fork. So my biggest wreck was actually just in derivatives and deciding to short EOS at $10 this last cycle. And it wasn't that I was wrong in that decision. It was just I was right at the wrong time. And it's one of those cases where the old adage that the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent came true. And I think it serves as a really good reminder that price and fundamentals can be two very distinct things, which is important for us when we're looking at farms. That a good API or a good token price may not necessarily be a stable farm long term. At the end of the day, I don't think the fundamentals on that bet were wrong, just mistimed and balanced out by other things. I think that covers all the questions we were asked, but I also just want to note that the concept of this project is something that I'm really excited for, as I truly believe we're still so early in crypto that it's this non-zero sum outcome where if this industry is a success broad stream, then there's room for lots of projects and for early adopters to make money. So I'm glad to see that there's this project where we're trying to capture that core ethos and tap into all this knowledge and make it accessible, as well as tap into what's truly a worldwide DeFi community. There's very few projects that have had such broad exposure in both the Eastern and Western markets. And I think there's too large of a divide there. And the ability to bridge those two worlds and bring that knowledge and exposure together is something really special. So I look forward to the potential of being involved in the project and sharing my insights and making this community a success.